Hey, Cope. Your GM says the goal is to make the playoffs. How difficult a task will that be this season?
Well, every season is difficult to make the playoffs. But I think that in the times we live right now and the way the divisions are set, I mean, it's realistic to think about playoffs for sure. I mean, it's something that every single individual wants to be a part of, and but it's a long road ahead. We're focusing on the next 2 weeks and really get up to speed. Obviously, having 9 months off, it's going to be a bit of a challenge to get it going again for first few days, but other than that, I mean, it's just focusing on a strong start and just kind of roll from there.
You think the schedule, the less travel, 56 games, will help you possibly to make the postseason?
Yeah, I mean, listen, everybody's got the same chance and pretty much the same travel. So we're just going to have to be focused on obviously daily basis, go game by game, and like I said before, right now we're focused on a strong start, and we'll see what happens after.
Thanks, Cope.
All right, next up is Francisco Rivera.
Hey, Anze, happy 2021. Best wishes, first of all. And I want to know, what was your reaction once you found out about the season schedule being ready? And what was your reaction? What were you doing at the time? How happy were you? And then what was your reaction to knowing that today would be your first day back at the office?
When I found out, I was actually on the golf course, but I was really obviously I was really excited. It's been a long time coming. Sometimes, or I mean, previous years when when season ends, you kind of see the end. But then obviously last year in March, the way it ended, everybody was in shock, and then obviously the world was pretty much in shambles, and it's still obviously not where we want it to be. So to have some positive energy and positive thinking for us to start was it's obviously a big deal, and everybody's very, very excited to get going again.
And just to follow up on that, the playoffs were a little out of reach last year, but you ended up in a great note. How tough was it to not be able to realize what you guys had left in the tank last year? How long would that winning streak go? But at the same time, how positive is that for you guys as motivation, knowing that you ended up in a good note last year?
Yeah. I mean, we've taken a big step forward last year. The start wasn't the way we envisioned, but then at the same time, with Todd coming in and new systems and new personnel and everything, maybe it was a little bit expected to not have a start, but throughout the year, we've done a good job to get accustomed to the new system and build a chemistry and build a foundation. And now, it's time to take the next step. So, yeah, I mean, like I said before, it's obviously every year when you go into the season, you think about the playoffs, but we got to go step by step and make sure that, we're focusing on the process and results will follow.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Andrew Knoll.
Yeah, hey, Kopi, happy New Year, man. So I wanted to ask you just kind of about big picture stuff. Last year you guys played a lot faster tempo, obviously, high shot volume team. What do you think it's going to take the next step and become maybe more efficient offensively as far as shots, traffic, and that sort of thing? Getting some of that effort to translate to results.
I mean, sometimes shot count is not necessarily the biggest or the best indicator on how the teams are playing. But yeah, like I said, we took a step in the right direction, especially offensively. Todd certainly didn't want to take any creativity from us, but we almost had like a few set plays where the pucks needed to go to the net. So the other four guys on the ice know what's kind of happening, and we just want to create more offense. And it's about trusting the system and getting the chemistry going with your teammates and line mates, and just create as much as we can. And when we do get those opportunities, make sure that we're focused enough where we score more goals.
On the other side of the puck, pretty big improvement on the defensive side, especially from some individual players last year. You guys have made a little bit of change on the back end, going back to the trade deadline. What are you guys looking for in terms of, whether it's structure or creating more transition? What's kind of the focus early on here on the defensive side of things?
Well, I mean, it's day one, so we haven't talked a whole lot and put any more new stuff in place that we have last year, but obviously giving up less chances, trying to keep everything to the outside of the ice surface, and try and clog up the middle as much as we can.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Nick Nixon.
Yeah, hi, Anze. Nice to see you again. End of last year, Gabe Velarde came up, played 10 games. The two of you have a couple of things in common. You're both centers and you're both big at about 6'3". Just talk about what you saw in those 10 games, his NHL debut kind of.
What I saw from him was a lot of plays with the puck and the playmaking ability. And I'm not entirely sure how many points he scored in those 10 games, but it seems like he was involved into a lot of goals for us, which is certainly very encouraging. And now hopefully, he kind of takes off right where he left off. So, we're going to need him. We're going to need him to play both ends of the spectrum, and hopefully he's going to be a really, really good player for us.
And just to follow up, you mentioned poise at the start of that comment. Is there a certain part of his game that you see that you think is going to really serve him well going forward?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, his stick handling and his skill and his hockey IQ is obviously very, very good and very high, and that I think that aspect of the game is gonna put him in a position where he can be very successful.
Thanks, Anze.
All right, next up is Jack Harris.
Hey, Anze, with a short camp, what are the most important things that you guys need to get accomplished in these next 2 weeks?
Just reinforce a lot of the stuff that we did last year, a lot of good stuff we did last year, and try and build on them. I mean, it's really not rocket science. Like I said, we took a good step in the right direction last year, but now we can't. I'm sure you guys have heard Todd say to not give anything back, and we gotta, like I said, start where we left off, and not slack in any department, so to speak, and just continue improving and continue peaking upwards.
When you talk about the goals for this season, the things that Rob and Todd have talked about wanting to see this team accomplish, like how much have they involved you guys, the veteran guys, in those conversations? How much have they sat down and kind of spelled out, the direction the club is heading, sort of, and the role that you guys play in getting there?
I mean, we've had a couple meetings, yeah, for sure. There were some good meetings, there were some one-on-one meetings, but at the same time, I mean, we've been around, between me, Brownie, Jeff, Drew, Quickie. We've been around quite a bit now, where we can figure that out on our own, and so I guess in that case, it's just reassuring and letting us know that obviously this is the path, but not a whole lot needed to be said where we want to go and where we need to go.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Daryl Evans.
Hey, Kopi. And with regards to the way the schedule is set up with all playing the games in your own division, is it safe to say that you control your own destiny as more magnified than in the past?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've always thought, going back in their old days, I mean, division games were always huge, and now this puts even more emphasis, right? Because now you're not going out east and go on a winning streak and get those extra points. Now it's, you know, right here, right now, everything counts, and you know, there's going to be a lot of almost like jumping over teams where somebody loses a couple, somebody wins a couple. It's going to be a big difference as opposed to, you know, like I said, going out into other divisions and you know, lose a game in shootout or in OT, and that point is huge. Like this is going to be right here within our division, and it's going to be tight probably for a long time.
And just a little follow on that, with regards to some of the teams that you're going to play against, you've had matchups that you've been up playing against guys for a number of years, and now all of a sudden, in a compressed schedule like this, winning those individual battles is probably going to be important for a lot of your individual players.
For sure. I mean, what are we going to play 8 games against each and every team? I mean, that's pretty much a best of 7 series, right? So it's, I'm sure it's going to get even a little bit more heated with the rivalries, and you know, we're going to have to be ready to, you know, to win the small battles and to win the big picture.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Zach Dooley. Zach, yep.
Here we go. Hey, Kopi. The veteran group that you talked about earlier has kind of remained in place, but a lot of, you know, that next group down of veterans has kind of moved on. Is there anyone that you've seen, whether it was last year or early on here, that's kind of stepped up into more of a leadership role as they've grown?
Yeah, there's a couple guys. I think Matty Roy made a big step last year, and Adrian Kempe, I thought, had a pretty good year last year, but now it's a matter of doing it on a more consistent basis. So, you know, I think we feel very strongly about our secondary core group, and I think, you know, with their growth, we're going to become a better team.
And secondly, you talked about it a little, and Dustin talked about it earlier. You know, last year was a bit of a learning year with new systems than what you've played throughout your career. With that year under your belt, and that being the same for most of these guys, is it going to be a lot easier to pick up where you left off with those systems and then take what you've learned and kind of grow from there?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we played 60 game last year, and Todd was obviously on us the whole time to do the things right and to do it within the system. So, you know, coming here now, it's a lot easier than coming last year to training camp. Even though, you know, we're going to have a 14-day camp, it's still going to be easier to learn or just refresh and remind us than teaching us the whole deal. So it's going to be easier, but we got to put in the work to really make sure that we're on top of things and keep trying to get better.
Thanks, Kopi.
All right, looks like the last question is going to come from John Hoven.
Hey, Kopi, was just wondering, putting protocol and all the differences of this season aside for a second, is this the most excited that you've been personally in a number of years? Just when you think back to 2017, new coach, 2018, bad camp, 2019, you know, another new coach coming in. Is this for you personally the most excited you've been?
It's not just about the new coach, and it's just being away from the game for 9 months now. It's you know, you come to realize how much you appreciate and you miss the game when you can't play it for that long. And I've actually, throughout this I guess quarantine or the shutdown or whatever you want to call it, I've talked to a few older guys that saying that, you know, in 05 when they had the lockout, that probably prolonged their careers for about 2 or 3 years. So I'm obviously very excited. I feel very good. And, you know, this 9 months, even though, you know, what's happened in the world the world is not in great state. But for me personally, just kind of rest my body, refresh my mind, and almost start from scratch. It's very refreshing, and I'm very excited for the season.
And one quick follow-up to that, Brownie was talking earlier that some of the leadership group, including yourself, has been talking about what needs to happen with some of these younger kids to integrate them into the group. I'm just wondering, for you personally, as the captain of the team, what do you think that you need to do specifically to help drive the culture with some of these younger players that will, be part of the next decade of the Kings?
Lead the way, do the things the right way, be a professional. I mean, it's kind of, you guys have known me by now. I'm not a rah-rah guy. Obviously I'll speak up here and there, but leading by example is probably my forte. So keep that intact, and try maybe get out of my comfort zone a little bit, and try to be rah-rah guy when we need it to be. So just evolving as a person, as a leader, for me would be obviously a good start to the season, and to bring the new kids up to speed, and to be the leaders that they need to be.